Okay.
All right, so now everybody has to behave.
I'll shut up now.
Rabbi, I guess we're going to start. Give me a shake of the head, or we're going to wait a couple more
Good to
minutes.
me.
Sounds good to you. Heather muted me. Look at that. Good evening,
It's a shame
everybody.
she's only figuring out that trick at the end of your presidency.
Happy everybody's here to join us tonight. It's been a cold and weird week again. Happy, healthy New Year to you. I stress the healthy part to you and your families. Things seem to be ramping up, and COVID seems to be touching our lives a little bit closer than it has. We have a lot to cover this evening. We're going to get towards the end of the meeting. We're going to have some breakout rooms, so I hope everybody sticks around. We have some nice things to talk about. And I think Dave Snyder will be joining us to make a presentation. He's our current treasurer. But right now I'm going to move you over to Rabbi Baisley, and he's going to kick us off and put us in the right direction. And we'll continue with some of our topics.
Dave is here.
Dave is here. Good. No, Rabbi, you're muted too. She muted you.
So I just want to say briefly, and then I'll talk about some of the more pertinent to the congregation topics in just a little bit. I know for a bunch of people, this past week has been deeply troubling on both sides of the aisle, and for many Americans. This weekend on Friday night for Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. weekend, I'm going to be sharing some of his words from the Birmingham prison letter that he wrote, which really calls for justice everywhere, and for people of good faith in theological language to come together for the pursuit of justice, not for partisan sides or back and forth, but really for having a sensible way of talking to one another with the theological language of love and respect for all. And as we see our news and media pundits pull us down a rabbit hole of despair and anger and hate, what I want to encourage all of us is to follow the words of Reverend King, who told us that only love will be able to bring us all together, and that hate will only divide us more. Yes, we need to speak for truth. Yes, we need to speak for justice. Yes, we need to hold unjust actions accountable. But there are ways of doing it while we communicate with one another in nonviolent ways that call for love and for reconciliation of a divided country. And I find that to be stirring in my mind right now. Part of why I hope all of you are congregants of Anshe Emuth is because this place helps you find meaning in your life and helps find meaning in what's going on in the world around us. And I hope as these events are unfolding, you'll find us again as a source of comfort and meaning, maybe not comfort, but meaning in what's going on, either in COVID or in politics or what's happening in our nation nowadays. That is the greater why of why we do what we do. And a lot of the programming that we do, whether it's educational or fundraising or service or what have you, now all virtual, is to help get us to that meaning and help get us to that goal and help get us in alignment for being able to fulfill that for one another. You're going to hear from David Snyder in just a moment on some of our fundraising issues, or not issues, but events that are coming up that we'd love for you to participate with us, because being able to meet our budget is one way of helping us to fulfill the why that we are here. I'll talk about staffing coming up for next year and where we are in our progress, as well as how we are responding to COVID. And then we're going to have some breakout groups to see how we can support one another. So I'm going to hand things over to David Snyder now.
Evening, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Before I get into talking a little bit about fundraising and what we're looking to do in the future, I just want to thank everyone here again for everyone's participation in Annual Appeal and High Holiday campaign. That is a very important part of how we keep ourselves going every year. And so thank you again for that. As a rabbi indicated, in the COVID world, we've had to be creative and adapt in so many different ways. And one of those very important ways we're doing that is in thinking about fundraising. So in furtherance of that, right after the high holidays, we kicked off a ad hoc task force that the purpose of which is to really kind of get people together, think outside the box, and come up with some ideas about what we could do for fundraising as we're still operating under the conditions that COVID has. And I wanted to share a little bit of that with you as I flip between my various things in front of me.
What the fuck are you doing?
Hold on 1 second here. And well, first of all, let me just talk. There's a lot of things that we've done in the past that we've had to augment and change for COVID. And our goal in all these things is obviously part of the goal is fundraising, and that's what we're talking about. But really combined with that, and actually almost probably more important than the fundraising, is we're really looking for opportunities that are fundraising events that are able to bring people together and give us opportunities to share experiences and continue doing that online and through Zoom and the way we've been doing it up until this point, until eventually, we hopefully, sooner rather than later, we'll be able to go back to doing things in person. So one of the things, some of the things that are coming up. One is there's going to be a series of fundraising events regarding different tastings, things for wine, things for beer, things for chocolate, things for cheese, and you'll be hearing more information about that as it comes along. These are things that we've seen some other temples do. They've been very successful. People have really enjoyed them, and they've been great for, again, bringing people together, which is important for us. Also, remember that the golf outing is still planned. Our golf outing's been augmented to be COVID friendly, and that's coming up in the late spring of this year. So we still have that online. That's a big fundraising event that we've had every year, and looking forward to doing it again. And we also have, and I apologize because the little screen that had my notes on it, I seem to have lost it among some windows. So I'm winging it a little bit here. So I might miss something. Someone will chime in and tell me what it is. Found it. Sorry, everyone. Thanks for waiting. Also, online auction. That's something that we've always done. Auctions at our Purim events, whether the Purim Carnival, the Purim Extravaganza we had last year. A lot of people attended and everyone enjoyed. We're going to be, reimagining the online auction. We are going to need donations for that, donations of things to auction off. So anyone who is interested in participating in that, we'd really welcome it. Please reach out to myself or Laura Leibowitz, and we can start talking about what we could do there. And if anyone wants to help on the committee for the online auction, please let us know, and we'll get you connected up with Anna Bauer and my wife, Carrie Snyder, who are managing. Also, coming up soon will be our 50-50 cash raffle. That's always a great, again, another not so much of a social event, but something that we rely on every year. And looking forward to your participation in that as well. Does anyone have any questions for me or anything as we're going forward here? I just want to provide you an update. Also, to let you know that committee is meeting regularly to get back together, think of new ideas. If anyone's interested in participating in that committee for generating ideas, please let me know. We'd be glad to add you and get your thoughts and your help. So that's about all I had, David. Is there anything else you wanted me to cover?
No, I just wanted to go over a couple of quick things. So as Dave mentioned, I'm going to regurgitate a little bit of what you said, just in case it did get lost, is these events, because of COVID, we're really scheduling for your participation. We want to make sure that you have an access to our temple community. So these are not, big galas or things like that. This is more of a thing. So you're going to see or if you haven't heard already, we're going to be doing some tastings over the next couple of months. There'll be one each month. The first one will be a beer tasting. You'll sign up for that beer tasting. You'll get a package. I believe it's 4 beers from a brewer here in Middlesex, and a glass. And then there'll be a class to go along with that. Following that, there'll be a chocolate tasting. There'll be a wine tasting. And I believe there's one other tasting, which I can't remember. So please excuse me. Purim is coming up. It's right around the corner. I can't believe it's even middle of January yet. And so we'll be doing Shlach Manot, which is not necessarily gathering, but hopefully you can take part in sending Shlach Manot to your friends and family. But we'll have, I just heard today from Rabbi, there's a pretty cool Purim spiel coming up, and I'm really excited, very apropos to what's going on in our world.
For the family Megillah reading, for the family
Oh, the
Megillah
family
reading. I'm
Megillah,
not stepping
okay.
on the
Purim spiel,
Purim
family
spiel
Megillah.
people's toes. Chas v'chalila.
No, that's great. And with all these events that are coming up, and you'll be seeing them within your temple emails and letters, please, please, we want you to take part. We want you not only to be part of the event, but we want you to volunteer. There's one of the things that was brought to our attention, because we are all Zooming, and we're not going to our center, our synagogue, that we are losing the benefit of actually volunteering. And this way, if you can volunteer and do something that you find that you want to do with us, please, please, if you see that event, reach out to us and volunteer. You'll also be seeing in the next few weeks the 50-50 raffle that Jay Goldberg works on every year. It's our temple raffle. Again, one of those things that we do. It's a wonderful event to take part of. And if you're an officer and if you win, you typically give the money back. So it is a great thing to do. There's going to be, Rabbi Glasses reminded me, there's going to be a drive-through Purim carnival and raffle. That's a pretty cool event. Again, adapting to what is going to be coming to the future. There's the one tasting I missed was a cheese. Thank you. I love the chat. I feel so informed when things come through, and I thank you. So this will be a cheese. One of the great volunteering opportunities that we've had over the last couple of months. It's a wonderful opportunity for a horrendous reason. Obviously, you know that there are plenty of people without homes and who go hungry each and every day. Jay Goldberg and Helene Goldberg have been organizing a sandwich lunch bag making that has been going on at the temple each and every day. The last statistic I heard is they've made over that team of volunteers has made over 13,000 sandwiches. It's even higher, Rabbi's telling me. It's a wonderful mitzvah we do, a very necessary thing we do for our community. That's another way to volunteer. And if you can't volunteer, but you want to donate a little money, you can do that too. So on Jay put in his in the chat, so everybody knows where the way to contact him and things like that. So, typically we talk about, we have an $80,000 budget line. So when we've talked in the past about our financials, there is an $80,000 budget line for fundraising. I don't think we're going to get there. I know we've done extremely well. You guys have really stepped up with annual appeal and high holiday tickets, and we will have the golf outing. But let's take part. I implore you to take part in these events. If it's not the beer event, but you like cheese, do cheese. If it's chocolate, it is wonderful time. Do these things that help you be part of the community. I love coming on, whether it be Shabbat or the town halls, to see all these wonderful faces or some of the classes. So, Rabbi, that's kind of where I'm at. Hopefully I covered everything. Heather or Rabbi, if you think that's means missing. Dave and Laura Leibowitz, thank you so much for taking the lead on this. You guys are really doing a great job in forming this task force to make sure that we are full of new activities.
Thank you, David. There will be a quiz on all of this, by the way, at the end of the town hall event. I hope you were taking notes and all the details there. Um,
Just
I
to note,
wanna-
all these details are all can be found in the weekly emails, the temple bulletins, the website, or, obviously feel free to call the temple if you have any questions about it.
Great. So I want to shift us a little bit and talk about next year when it comes to staffing. Rabbi Glasser's on the call, and I know all of us are going to thank her for her time with us that we've deeply cherished and loved. Um, as you know, we are moving on to a different type of model. Um, was it only last week, or was it 2 weeks ago? We had a meeting with the board to talk about different possibilities going forward in terms of our staffing. There are two different models that came out of our board conversations. One model is to have a student rabbi as well as a part-time youth director. And the other model is to have two student rabbis come and join us next year. We, out of that conversation, got a lot of really great feedback from the board. Um, Ina, David, and Heather and myself were speaking earlier, and we're taking some names from officers and from board members about forming a task force for moving forward to figuring out what we're going to do and plan forward in a strategic manner to make sure that all of our needs and all of our growth capabilities are met for next year. I can tell you that the applications for student rabbis will begin at the end or being accepted at the end of February, and we'll have more information for you as you move forward, or as we move forward. What I do want to take out of the board meeting that we had is that there was a lot of good feedback on the fact that we're moving forward in a holistic way, where all of the board representatives who represent all of you and all of the different needs of the temple were able to share thoughts and ideas and reflections that we're taking very seriously as we plan our way forward. We'll have more details that are specific as we narrow down our approaches, but I wanted to make sure you all knew that we were plotting forward and moving forward in an appropriate way and in a timely way as well. Last night, we also had a meeting of our COVID task force team. Some of the members are on this call right now. I want to thank them for their participation. I will be frank with many of you. The numbers of COVID infections in New Jersey is startling right now. In the spring of last year, a lot of people felt as if they were slightly removed, that they didn't know as many people who had it, but knew of people who knew of people. Unfortunately, sadly, it moved through many nursing homes and assisted living facilities, and it was very tragic as it is right now. I have had more calls from congregants in the last 2 months telling me that they have COVID, that they're wrestling with COVID, that they've been hospitalized for COVID, or that have passed from COVID. More numbers in the last 2 months than we did in the height of the pandemic last spring. I want you all to take this pandemic very seriously. And the major takeaway that I had from our call last night was, while we could be looser with a few things, we won't know if it's the right or the wrong answer until it's too late. And you only have one chance to make the right call. And that we're really siding with caution. I'm hoping that many of you, or if not all of you, are finding what we're doing in the virtual arena to be, while not as satisfying as being here in person, to be equally as meaningful or connective. Out of COVID, we now have these town hall meetings. And I gotta say, I love them, and I hope you do too, because I'm hoping you are finding that you know more about your congregation now than you might have before these town hall meetings. There are many things that we're doing right now because of COVID that that we aren't going to be stopping once the pandemic is over. First of all, we're not going to have a very clear, definitive end of, yay, it's over. Um, but we also know that there were some people that didn't have access to this before COVID. We set up our services in a way where those who don't want to get out at night or don't want to drive at night or are um, not able to get here at night are able to enjoy services where they don't feel like a distant participant in the corner of a screen. But we've gotten more intimate with our services. We've gotten more intimate with our adult study. We've gotten more intimate with a lot of what we're doing. Um, and we are right now figuring out how we can maintain that intimacy as we go to a hybrid world where people are both here, both in person and at home. Um, I don't think we will ever leave. Let me strike that. I am certain that we will never leave a hybrid way of doing this, that we will always have a digital presence and a digital component to everything we do, whether it's adult study or if it is service and worship. I am thinking that many of you, I know some of my colleagues are talking about this. What if they don't want to come back because it's just easier to do it at home? I think after almost a year of a pandemic, you will all agree with me that you would rather be in person if you can be in person. Um, but your safety matters more to me than how many numbers of people are in the sanctuary. Um, so we're working right now with different companies and organizations, sound and AV companies who are going to come in to help take a look at our sound system, to take a look at our miking system, to take a look at how we do video when we live stream it, to make sure cameras can zoom in and go back and forth to give you a dynamic image during services. That the choir can be properly mic'd so that you can hear all of them and not just the person doing the solo, whether it's for high holidays or whether it's for Friday night services. That the camera might be able to turn to show the choir during those services. What do we need to do in our learning spaces so that there can be a large screen with a camera so that we can zoom in participants for Torah study who will feel like they're there just as much as the other people in the room. One of the things that I'm very concerned about is that if we have a digital component, there are 20 people in Torah study with us, and the person leading has an iPad or a laptop, only the people on only the teacher will be able to interact with the people on Zoom, but not the rest of the class. So what do we need to do to bring the people in the digital world into the space where the physical people are? I don't have a lot of answers for you how to do that, but I wanted to let you know that we are starting that process of figuring this out. This does not mean that in the next month or two, we're going to start going hybrid. I have a lot of doubts about how soon we're going to be able to do this, but I want us to start talking about this now so that when we're ready to go live with a hybridization and a slow rollout, we'll be ready to do so and won't be lagging in that. We're thinking and hoping about doing some live events in August where we might be able to do Havdalah outside or might be able to do a Shabbat kibitzing or things of that nature as the precursor to doing things in the building when it's safe. The key phrase is when it's safe. I know a couple of you have already asked me, my God, this is only January. I can't believe I'm starting to think about high holidays already. But I know some of you have already asked me about what's going to happen for high holidays. What I can tell you is I will make sure that all of you will have just as intimate experiences as you had last year for high holidays, and that the driving question on what we do with high holidays is all based upon the question of, is it safe, truly safe for us to do this? I know I can't sing as nice as the cantor or Rabbi Glasser can, but I don't want my singing to kill anybody. So we want to make sure everybody is safe in what we do. I'm going to pause right there when talking about COVID. The next thing I have on our agenda is going into a few breakout rooms But before I do, I saw that David Levine said he missed a couple of hands up or questions. David, you want to take those questions now before we go into the breakout? That way we don't need to worry about coming back together again.
Sure, we can. I believe Carrie. No, let's see. Jerry Frank, I think you had your hand up at one point and I missed. So if you're there, unmute, come on down. And if anybody else had some other questions, Rabbi, I do think we can add a matzah tasting. Streitz's, Matashevitz.
There aren't as many companies as there used to be. Maybe a homemade matzah tasting.
So no questions.
Okay. And
Don't feel free to ask them in the chat. And by the way, if you have any ideas, I'm sorry, Rabbi, I'm stepping on you. I know somebody, Cindy, you put in there about smart boards. With us recording this session, a lot of those ideas, all that chat stays. So A, be nice, but B, if you have a real good suggestion about something, we'll also catch that again later. So, okay, Rabbi, I'm done.
Actually,
No problem.
Dave, it's Russ. Can I ask the one question before
Sure.
I asked before? What is it, the auction you're talking about? Is that going to be like in time for Purim, or it doesn't necessarily have to be? Do we have time to get things together still? A couple of months?
So Heather, maybe you can help me on the timing, or Dave or Laura. It's going to be kind of what we did for Purim. If you remember last year, COVID kind of hit just as Purim hit, and the timing all kind of got messed up. So we did it a little bit later. Is there a time set for this?
We have not yet set an exact time frame. We were talking earlier today about possibly doing the online auction later, maybe in June, to give ourselves time to collect items to auction off, although it could be in May. So stay tuned, stay posted. We'll let you know. Right now, we're focused on the collection of items to auction. So I'll reiterate what Dave and David said earlier, which is if you have any items yourself, if you are an artist or have a vacation home that you don't mind, next year when people can travel again, allowing somebody to use, or other ideas of things that you would like to auction, or if you want to be part of the committee to help come up with ideas and brainstorm people to reach out to, and you are able and willing to help with that, please do let us know. We rely on all of your support and knowledge. So.
And so just as Heather said, it there's obviously the big stuff like travel or things like that. It's great. My company sells As Seen on TV products. There's always a wonderful As Seen on TV or two baskets there. I know the Bushes and the Wazalas are always big fans of that. But anything that you might have, appliances, TVs are always great. Or even, in the past, we've done Shabbat dinners. Somebody came in and cooked Shabbat dinner and dropped it off. Obviously, you wouldn't be able to do it in the person's home this year, but you'd be able to send a Shabbat dinner to them. So it's a wonderful way to interact that way.
Andrew asked about the rummage sale. The rummage sale is off. We did not do a summer sale. We are clearly not doing a winter sale, and we do not plan to do a summer sale next summer, which is next fiscal year's budget as well. That is very sad, not just because, yes, it raises a lot of money. We raise about $20,000 from the combined sales, plus we help a lot of people in the community. Hopefully by next winter, we can get back to doing that, but I don't see any way for us to pull that off safely this summer.
Yeah, there's a lot of COVID restraints there, and we've looked at some other things about, bulk clothing pickup, and it's just, there's a lot of work, and it doesn't get to the right people. I do know organizations like Elijah Promise was looking for winter coats. So if you have things like that, please reach out to your local organizations and drop them off at those places. There's always something being looked at that. Rabbi Glasser, Carrying Committee Winter Seminar, Sunday, February 21st at 3 p.m. It's in the chat. Self-care for the caregiver. This is a really strong topic. Rabbi, you can jump in here because you can probably do much better justice than I can.
Absolutely. So the Caring Committee, instead of doing kind of a big seminar in person, we've been doing a couple scaled down seminars on Zoom. So we had our first one in the fall, and our winter seminar is coming up on February 21st. It's a Sunday afternoon at 3 p.m. And it's going to be on the topic of self-care for the caregiver. Many of us who are worried about our loved ones are unfortunately not having all the opportunities we need for our own self-care. So we'll be having a discussion, sharing some resources, and we'll provide different ways of self-care, some music, some meditation, some breakouts where you can pick what you want to do. So it's a great opportunity to connect and maybe learn something new and work some self-care into your routine. So we hope you'll join us. There'll be more information in your weekly. It's February 21st, Sunday.
Great. Thank you, Larry. Malcolm, unmute. Come on down.
You may have answered this when I wasn't paying careful attention. What's the story with the charter school?
We haven't spoken about that. The charter school is up and running, and they've been very COVID safe, I believe, at this point. If you're asking about next year, though, that discussions really haven't come up yet. It usually comes up very late January, early February. Heather, anything to add?
Not yet. They're just focused. They were focused on getting the kids back in the building. They came back this week from the break. So I wasn't going to bother them while they were trying to do that. They'll settle in. I expect we'll hear from them, or we will reach out to them in the next week or two to see what they're thinking about for next year.
I'm cycling through, see if anybody's got their hand up. Feel free to unmute if you do have a question.
Yeah, we may not see you. There's a lot of screens. So, and we want to get all the questions in before we go into the breakout rooms so that once we do breakout, you can take as much time as you need in those rooms. Hi, Hannah.
Hannah.
Sorry. It's Larry. I'm going to jump in since Hannah began. I just wanted to point out, connect some dots from what the COVID task force yesterday, something the rabbi said and David said, and we heard earlier about, for example, the golf outing. I mean, I think it's wonderful. We're planning it. I think it's important. And I think, like everything in the future, there's a level of uncertainty because of COVID. And we just need to be aware of that. It is, these things are planned, they're intended, and at some level aspirational. And it's just worth realizing that because that's the world we're living in, sadly.
Larry or Dr. Kleinman.
Larry, please.
Thank you, because it is true. As we all know, the outcome of what's happening with COVID is changing by the hour in some cases. So we need to be wary that things do change pretty rapidly and be nimble enough to deal with those situations.
Carol has a question.
Come on down, unmute.
Carol, you have your hand raised. Do you have a question? You're still muted.
And you have to unmute yourself.
There you go. She got it.
I was trying to type in the chat and I wasn't being very successful. So that's probably why you thought my hand was up. I was just going to say, I still haven't gotten my paper bulletin. I don't know about anybody else.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for raising that. We put a link in the weekly email this week. I don't think anybody here has gotten the bulletin. You can raise your hand if you did. I'd kind of want to know. I didn't get mine. I did try calling. We mailed it 3 weeks ago. Bulk mail. It's not first class. This happens every couple of years. The post office gets so backed up that their goal is to get the first class mail out first. And if it's not first class and they're behind, your bulk mail just gets pushed to the side. So I'm trying to track down the mailing that I myself delivered to the post office. And I was told that they sent it to Kearney to get shipped out, and I don't know where it is. So hopefully eventually you'll all get your January bulletin, but it is available on the website. And there was a link in Monday's weekly email. If you didn't get the email, or you can't find it, or you can't find the link, just send an email to us in the office, to either me or to Jen or to temple@aemt.info, and we will email you the link so that you can download the bulletin to read. It was a great bulletin. Ann works really hard on it. I'd love for you all to be able to see it. And we're putting the February bulletin together now, and that'll go to the post office next week. Who knows? Maybe you'll get February before you get January.
I tell you, it's not just bulk mail. I sent a couple of checks to the bank for credit card bills, and they took 3 weeks and screwed up my billing cycle and everything.
Yes.
So
we have noticed that also.
Hey, Heather, we actually still send out paper bulletins?
Yes.
You know,
And okay, raise your hand if you love reading the Temple Bulletin. Look at all the hands. Okay, keep your hands up for a minute. Let's cycle through here. Look at all the hands. People like reading the Temple. Thank you, because I agree. I like seeing a Temple Bulletin.
The reason I joke about that is probably 3 times a year at one of our board meetings, we go down this path about mail and the costs and the waste of paper. So thank you for reading the Temple Bulletin, and thank you, Carol, for noticing that it actually didn't show
And
up.
thank you, Anne, for doing a great job putting it together every month.
Wonderful job. Great stuff. Any more questions?
Really, this is your time. This is why we're doing this. We want to hear from you if you have questions about anything going on at the temple. If not,
Jonathan,
once we're
you just
done,
Going like this, or you're looking to unmute?
anybody, you can unmute. You don't have to raise your hand if you have a question about something or a comment, something you want to share.
What is the accessibility of the building midweek? Is it by appointment or?
You can come. We want you to get in touch with us first. The temple is open. The office staff are there 8:30 to 5, Monday to Thursday. We close at 4 on Fridays. The staff are coming in, but everybody is distanced, working in their own space. We're not doing any in-person meetings, but if you do need to get into the temple for something, if you want to borrow a library book, we don't want, a whole bunch of people coming and sitting in the library, but if you want to come in, pick up a book and leave, you can do that during the week. You don't always have to make an appointment, although we do prefer if you just let us know that you're coming and why you're coming. So call or email us at the temple to let us know, and we will buzz you in during office hours. You can do what you need to do, and then you can leave. We're just trying not to have people come in and congregate, mingle, don't meet each other there. Don't come through the office area and walk down the hall and stop at people's desks. We're coming in, we're doing what we need to do, and then we're leaving.
Yeah, we won't be friendly, don't worry.
Well,
And keep your mask on.
So with the caveat to that is exactly A, make sure you have a mask. B, if you're not feeling well, do not come to the temple. Whether you think you have COVID or not, it could be a sniffle, it could be a cough. Do not come to the temple. Okay? I love you all. Do not come to the temple.
And you do
If I
need to
could
sign
reiterate
in.
something there, the State Department of Health has sent a letter to pediatricians telling them that they are not to use their clinical judgment that something is not COVID. The only way you know something's not COVID is to have the right test and maybe twice.
And you will be required to sign in and take your temperature at the door.
Yes. For the most part, if you're coming to drop something off or pick something up, if you let us know, we will leave it by the door so that you don't even have to walk through the halls of the temple. This protects you and it protects the office staff. You could buy gift cards, Scrip, another great fundraiser that we can't push enough. If you shop at ShopRite, come to the temple, drop off a check, we will give you ShopRite gift cards. I do this. I will not go to ShopRite without my ShopRite gift cards. You can buy Starbucks gift cards and Dunkin' Donuts gift cards and Home Depot gift cards. You can go on the Shop with Scrip app and you can get e-gift cards. If you have not used Scrip yet and you are curious, reach out to me. I will be happy to show you how to use it. It makes the temple money, and it's money you would have spent at the store anyway. And the temple earns a percentage of all the proceeds. So, and you can also go to smile.amazon.com and choose us as the recipient of your fundraising dollars there. I do that. I do smile.amazon, and I also buy Amazon e-gift cards. So the temple gets even more of my money every time I shop at Amazon. I have a constant credit of $200 in my Amazon account that I bought from the temple Scrip program. And then I go to smile.amazon.com and the temple gets another 0.5%. So thank you, everybody, for pointing out those great ideas. What was that, Kurt? Ah, okay.
Howard,
anybody else?
I like the fact that as a senior, I get calls to the temple every few weeks to find out how I'm doing. There are a number of people that are homebound, not only because of the virus, because of inabilities, but it's very nice to get calls from the temple. The Jewish Family Service does it. They call me almost every week to find out how I am. And North Brunswick has a call-in program. So I think the temple should keep that up and try and keep track of people who may be alone or not be able to get out as easily. But these are very, very welcome calls to get to the temple. I appreciate that. Thank you.
That's great feedback, Howard. It's good to hear that those calls are being made, and I'm glad they mean something to you. I did learn something tonight at dinner. One of my close family members did not know that you actually had to go register for your vaccination for COVID. Please register for your vaccination for COVID. Go to the newjersey.gov site, look up COVID. You can register, you put down what you do for an occupation, your age, if you have any comorbidities. Lisa has informed me that I am morbidly obese, so I got a 1B resignation, and I thank her for that. But yes, please register, and hopefully you'll get it soon enough.
Somebody knows that link, you can throw it in the chat.
Yes, please.
I don't have it offhand.
I just Googled, I think we Googled, New Jersey COVID immunization, and Google's amazing.
Or vaccine pre-registration, it's something like that.
Am I the only one who tried to pre-register, got the first email and never got an assignment?
I didn't get an assignment either. As long as you got some type of confirmation, you're in the system.
Yeah, I'm in the system, but I didn't get an assignment. I have to wait until they tell me.
Yeah, a number of us did.
Just check your spam too. They came from different accounts. I did notice one came, I think the second one came from DOH. So just check your spam or junk mail also.
Wait,
Thank you,
Sarah, why are you not telling everybody what you told me? That everybody is missing. It's a lot of times it's in the title, in the response. It's not in the body of the email. The body of the email says, thank you for registering. You're now on the list. But if you look at the top, the bold line tells you what group you're in.
Yes, except that's the second email. My wife got the second email. I only got the first email.
Okay.
Right, so we got a bunch of links in the chat. So it's COVID vaccine.newjersey.gov.
Yep.
And so you can click on that and go right out. So make sure you register. It's a wonderful thing. You may not get the appointment for a while, even though I go out of 1B. I'm not expecting to get it before 2022. So please register.
Heather, it's Louis Scheller. Where do we send the money for the lunch program that Rabbi asked on the list?
So if you go into, hopefully you're familiar with Full Cloud at this point. If you go into your account on the website and hit the donate button, you can pull general donation, and in the description you can write Elijah's Promise sandwich, and then put your dollar amount in. You can also do, like Heather, I believe you can do it as a tribute. So if you want to do it in honor or memory of somebody, you can also denote that also. But that's the way you can do that easily. And if that's not the way you want to do it, put a check in an envelope, mail it to the temple.
Okay, thanks.
Awesome question. Thank you.
I have a question about the COVID pre-registration.
Yeah.
I pre-registered. I thought I pre-registered. I did what I was supposed to do, and then I didn't see it saying anywhere. It didn't have a confirmation. So I tried to do it again, and it said you already pre-registered, but I never saw a regular confirmation. So am I pre-registered or not?
So when I did it, it sounds much similar to yours. I registered, I didn't get an email back. I tried it again, it said you're already registered. And then 2 days later, I got something from NJ Vaccine Scheduling Service saying that your registration, to confirm the registration. It then said you'll receive another email in a few days to let you know what phase you're in. I haven't gotten that either. But what you're describing was very similar to what happened to me.
Okay, but I tried it a couple of times, and it kept saying I already was pre-registered, but I didn't get I never got a normal confirmation. So I guess I'm pre-registered.
So I'm sure you're pre-registered. You just, and I found it in an email that I missed somehow. So saying where I was, but there's no appointments yet or anything. Unless you're 1A, you can't do
Their
anything yet.
pre-registration thing got canceled for a while, and then it was reposted. And the 1B class is very large, and for most of us, they're not going to do anything about registration until they get done with the firemen and the policemen.
Right. Well, I know.
So
Yeah,
I think patients, there was a way to sign up for a daily update. But that seems to be only information, not information specific to a particular person's request for an appointment.
Okay, thank you.
Hopefully one final thing left on COVID, on the vaccination is that I know a few people who have gotten it. There has been almost little or no side effects. So that's a wonderful, wonderful thing to hear from people. I do know a neighbor who had COVID and was hospitalized last winter and was able to get the vaccine because he works for the state and he did very well with the vaccine. So I'm good to hear, we're not hearing a lot of side effects. Everybody's different, but it's a good sign. Any more questions before we move on? If you have any more questions about COVID and things like that, you can contact us offline or even just contact the state. I'm sure there's a way to do that too, but either way. More questions? Unmute yourself. I'm going through.
You'll have an opportunity also in the breakout rooms.
Breakout rooms. Okay, so Rabbi, why don't you take us to the next step?
Sure. So as I mentioned earlier, we have dramatically changed what we did on a dime so that we can help respond to some of your needs that are arising out of COVID, but also we realize that there are some needs that are arising that or were already there that we weren't aware of, that we want to help respond to. So what we're going to do is break into some breakout rooms right now. We hope that you will stay on for them. You're going to have a staff member or an officer with you in the room to lead the conversation. Really, we want to check in and see how you're doing, and to see what life is like for you right now and to make sure you're okay. We're also going to ask a couple of questions to figure out, are we fulfilling the needs that you have for our temple? And if so, what are the things that really matter so that we can continue doing them? And if not, what are some of the things you'd like to see us add on to what we're doing to help fill some of the needs that you have? That way we can make sure that we are fulfilling our purpose in being a community that connects all of us in purposeful religious life. Heather is going to break us out into breakout rooms right now. I'm sure it will all go fine. And I'll see many of you there. When we're done, we'll either come back together to say goodbye or you can head off from there.
So when you're going to see a little notice come up on your screen that says you've been assigned to a room, just press that button and you'll be magically transformed into a new locale.
I'm going to stop recording.